Scott Stringer ran for mayor once before. Now he thinks the second time is the charm. So what are you going to do differently?
I'm going to win this time.
A good answer, but how?
Well, look, I think people understand what the next mayor has to do and the kind of person it ought to be. And I bring 30 years of government service to the hope that we can finally clean up the city and the corruption, actually get things accomplished in affordable housing and education. And so I'm going to use my experience to tell voters I think I can do a really good job. I've been the controller for 8 years. I know the finances. I've been Manhattan Borough President. I know land use and zoning. I served, as you know, in the state legislature, where I was the most independent legislator at that time period. Put it all together, I'm ready to serve. I've got skin in the game. I got 2 young kids in this city. They're going to public school, and the campaign is attracting millions of dollars from thousands of low-dollar contributors, and I'm excited, Marcia.
Well, let's talk issues. The first up, asylum seekers and the threat by the president-elect to deport people. What are you going to do about it if you're mayor?
Well, look, Eric Adams blamed the migrants on a Monday for the budget crisis. Then he praised them on a Tuesday. Then he had a whole new opinion on Wednesday. He's bounced around migrants who've come to this city. The shelter system is in disarray. The paperwork's not getting done. We need a mayor who's going to manage this crisis to make it a positive for the city. And look, Trump will do his thing, but this is where you need a mayor who knows how to play chess, not checkers, and I will meet him anywhere to make sure that we resolve some of these issues.
But here's the question. What level of cooperation would a Mayor Stringer give to a president who's intent on deporting people?
We are a city that has always honored our immigrants. We're a city that is aspirational for people who come here. Some people come here because they're fleeing persecutions. Other people want a better life, and I'm not going to be the mayor that is going to become part of, become Eric Adams, what Eric Adams is doing, which is basically become the Trump guy. I'll fight Trump when he tries to deport people. I'll fight Trump if he tries to hurt our people. The mayor has to represent everybody, and it's really a shame that Eric Adams is basically campaigning for a pardon and is willing to say anything and everything in order to get sprung, so to speak.
But what about those migrants who've come here and have committed some high-profile crimes? And would you protect them as well?
Look, anyone who commits a crime should go to jail, especially dangerous people. But the issue, right?
Should they be deported after they do jail?
I think we have to let the judicial system work it out. Obviously, you don't want people who are committing crimes in our city. I say lock them up. I say we need more police presence, more police protection in this city. I think we have to align policing and mental health services. But I think by focusing in on vulnerable migrants or picking a few who may be bad actors, doesn't really make the point here, right? We want to be a city for everybody. It's the most diverse city in the world, and picking on vulnerable people who are coming here may be a good soundbite, but it's not what this city is all about.
But I guess, you have a situation where public safety is key to almost everybody you talk to, and there have been a number of high-profile instances that have involved asylum seekers or migrants, and the question is, what level of cooperation do you, if you were mayor, do for people who are, with federal agents who may want to deport them? I'm not doing
Trump's bidding. If he wants to be helpful and protect the city, send us more money so we can align mental health services and policing. Marcia, I grew up here in the 70s. I mean, I'm a real New Yorker. I remember when there were 2,000 murders a year. I remember my mother saying to my brother and I, when we took the A train, sit in the conductor car, it's dangerous, I worry about you. I have the same concerns about my 2 kids as well. And I want to do everything as mayor to make sure we keep the city safe. I'm not going back to the way I grew up. We're going to be tough and smart on crime, but we're also going to solve problems. Look, there are people who are living on our subways who are homeless. They're living on the subways.
What are you going to do about them?
And they're dying in front of us.
What are you going to do about them?
I'm going to really align mental health services with the police. I want to put police officers walking the trains with trained counselors who can help remove people from the subway to a supportive housing bed, to one of our 11 public hospitals, and I will work on this every single day. Look, I'm the candidate in this race who brings 30 years experience, 30 years, to these problems. I've audited every city agency. I know the weaknesses. I know where the bodies are buried. And if we're going to make change, we can't keep talking about it. We actually have to do it.
Does that mean we need more cops?
We need more cops, and if we need a specific amount of cops, I'll provide them. I'll reach out and get that police force up and running. But you know, it's not just the cops. We all know we need mental health services. Adams has failed on this. The public hospitals have failed. His
Has the
whole
governor also
administration.
failed?
And the governor has not given us the resources we need because she's becoming an Adams apologist. And I look forward to working with the governor in a real way to solve these problems. By the way, the election a year from now, we will straighten out this city. We only need one good election to turn it around, and we're about to have it.
So moving right along to housing, which is another major concern for people in the city. The city of Yes, mayor just passed a program to build about 80,000 units of housing. Good idea, bad idea. Not everybody's happy. They're concerned about the fact that parking spaces are going to be taken in certain neighborhoods. Your position on that?
Oh, those are some of those ideas that were passed in the City of Yes were ideas that I introduced as Manhattan Borough President, especially on parking. But look, 80,000 units over 15 years, we'll see if they actually get to 80,000. I think this is a pretty much a benign, watered-down plan. But the concept of increasing density will eventually sort of give our middle class pressures, will alleviate some of that middle class pressure, because the more housing you build, the less the rents will be. But I want to make it clear, that's half the loaf. The real challenge is, what are we going to do for working New Yorkers who are low-income New Yorkers?
Rent freeze?
The people who are leaving the city. You know, it's not the billionaires who are leaving; it's the people who make 30,000.
Out-migration is a huge problem.
Huge. So how do we keep people here? We need to give them a roof over their head and an affordable housing unit.
How do you do that?
I'll tell you how we do it. We do it the way Mayor LaGuardia did it. We build public housing again, the way we did it under the Lindsay administration.
Nitro housing?
I'm going to get to it, but we build Mitchell-Lama 2.0. I did the audits.
Mitchell-Lama is middle class.
Well, public housing is for low-income people. Middle class is Mitchell-Lama. We did this in the past. Now, I audited the vacant land that the city owns, 1,000 vacant properties. Why not give that land to not-for-profits and for people who know how to build affordable housing? It's our land. Don't give it to the rich developer. Give it to the people so we can afford, with subsidy, to build the low-income housing.
Where does the money come for that?
The money comes from the money we have right now. We have money stuck in HPD and other agencies. They've been so slow to build housing, so there's a bucket there. There are other ideas I have to do that, but it starts with a premise that we have vacant land. Who's going to get that vacant land? Let's do what LaGuardia and Lindsay and others have done, and Michael Bloomberg and Bill de Blasio, and build low-income, affordable, middle-class housing.
Are you talking about vacant land on NYCHA properties? There's a lot of land there, or are we talking about taking parkland or other things?
You're looking at the actual vacancies that exist today. We see parcels of land that are vacant, totally vacant. And we should use that land to build the kind of low-income housing we need.
Why wasn't that in the City of Yes?
Well, I'm not the mayor yet. It's coming. It's coming.
But would you also ask the federal government to help build NYCHA housing?
Look, we're going to have a real challenge, let's face it, with the Trump administration. We actually need $40 billion just to repair the existing buildings. So we're going to have to be very creative with state money and city money in order to get through the crisis. I'm not going to promise a lot of success coming out of the Trump administration.
What about the state dollars? We have about 30 seconds left.
That's our hope. We're going to have to work with Governor Hochul. We're going to have to work in the city and start creating a plan that is a little long-term.
But you already gave $5 billion for the City of Yes.
Well, we have a lot more to do, and there's a lot more that has to happen. We have to fix NYCHA, keep it up and running. Obviously, when Hakeem Jeffries is Speaker, we'll have a friendly Congress, and that'll help too.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But up next is Republican contender Curtis Sliwa. We're here with Scott Stringer. So a next question I'd like to talk to you about is congestion pricing, and whether you think that Governor Hochul may pay the price when she runs for re-election by the fact that she paused it, unpaused it, and it's unpopular with people who are worried about their pocketbooks.
Look, the worst thing a politician can do is be indecisive. So I'm glad that she did what she did. I think we should try congestion pricing. I supported it for a long time. We do need to break up the car culture in Midtown. It's hurting businesses, costing billions. But look, we have not honored the commitment to our brother and sister New Yorkers in the boroughs, right? We still have transit deserts where people are being told to get out of their cars and there's no access to a subway or a bus.
Right.
We're failing
So what should we do
We're
about
failing
that?
Well, we have to get to work, right? I mean, we should initiate a program that I talked about a couple of years ago, which is to expand our bus lanes, our bus routes, especially for people who make less than $28,000 a year, who are frontline workers. They're the ones that when they get out of work, they don't have a bus or train to get home to.
So what about free bus service?
Well, that's ridiculous.
I mean, one of your opponents is saying we should have free buses everywhere.
Well, you know, if you're going to build the transit network for working people in Queens and Brooklyn, you take $800 million out of the system. You're getting half of what you're supposed to get in congestion pricing. And you know what you have?
Nothing.
A mess, and it's nothing. So in this campaign, I don't mean to be the total truth teller, but I also got to be level with New Yorkers. We've gotten in trouble with candidates who promise a lot and have no idea how to get anything done. And I'm going to tell you right now, we have to have bus fares. The way to approach people who struggle financially is targeted affordability. So let's expand fair fares, but let's keep our buses moving and expand the network, because that's how we're going to get people aligned.
So the MTA is going to get this windfall when congestion pricing goes into effect. What's the first thing that they should spend money on?
Well, we have signals that are as old as George Washington, and we have to start investing in the infrastructure in the MTA, but we also have to use this money to build out our dedicated bus lanes and the other capital eligible projects that are coming due. We have an MTA capital plan of $68 billion. This is a lot of work. And now people say, well, what can the mayor do, right? Because the mayor doesn't control the MTA, the state does, the governor does. But the mayor controls the streets. And I have every intention of being the street mayor, expanding bus lanes and bike lanes, making sure that we ease people into the notion that they don't have to live in a transit desert. Give me 4 years to straighten this mess out.
What'll be the first thing that you do?
As mayor?
No, in terms of being the streets mayor.
I think we have to really align our buses, expand the bus routes, because it's so cost effective to expand bus service. It's very expensive.
What about all the people who evade fares?
Excuse me?
All the people who evade fares on buses. That's where the bulk of the fare evasion is on buses.
Which is why we need to collect the fares, and we're going to have to take approaches that force people to pay. And when you can't pay, there's a program available, but there's hundreds of thousands of people that would be eligible for fair fares, and nobody's telling them about it and helping them fill out the paperwork, which is a problem in the Adams administration, because they can't actualize some of these programs, and that's a tragedy, and that's hurt people.
So I have a question. This is like my last question, though. There's a new poll that's out, done by American Directions Research Group, which has Andrew Cuomo in first place with 28% of the vote, and Adams gets 20%, you got 3%. Does that make you change your mind about whether you would run?
You know, it's funny, when I ran for controller against Eliot Spitzer, I was 20 points behind with 3 weeks to go.
I remember that.
And everybody but you said I was dead in the water, right?
I was right.
You were right, and we won. So a lot of these polls are going to fluctuate. Remember, it's not who knows you today, it's who's going to vote for you tomorrow. And I've been through these tight races. I know how it's going to end. But right now, I think we're building the coalition. I think people know they want someone with experience. I think the Adams-Cuomo administrations are not what New York needs right now, and I hope to offer something fresh, exciting, visionary, but competence is going to be the call of the day. Ed Koch became mayor because he said, you know, after 8 years of charisma and 4 years of the clubhouse, why not try competence? I think we're in the same place we were.
So are you going to use Ed Koch's phrase?
No, I'm just saying it to you because you'd appreciate it.
Because I remember, because you think I'm the oldest person.
No, I just know. I've known you the longest.
Scott, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank you at home for joining us as well.